just getting set up here. And I think I have it. Okay. So, welcome. This is Colina from Ke Hioffer, Europe. And right now I am in Perugia, Italy. And during this week in Perugia is the Umbria Jazz Festival. So as we are walking together, if we come across a lot of music and a lot of noise, I will try to segue into something other. Well, I'm here in the center of Perugia, in Piazza 4 November. And we're going to walk through the city and talk about teaching English overseas. My name is Colina, and I'm an American. I live and work in Italy, but I've been traveling all over the world for quite a while. And I've been teaching English in various countries. For example, I've taught English in Lithuania, in France, in Spain, in Germany, and in Italy. I've lived in several countries since I was a young girl, and I found myself living and working in Italy for the last 3 years. So I've been teaching English online and in person since 2012. So I am a big advocate of traveling and teaching English. But today we're going to talk about moving abroad and the things that you should be asking your school before you move. So you are in can you hear the music? So before you move abroad, we want to be certain we're making the right decision. And it's a difficult decision, but we should be asking certain questions before we move abroad. The first and most important question that we should be asking is the language school licensed? So you're doing an interview with a particular language school and you want to be certain that they are legitimate. Isn't that nice? Let me see if I can get a look at this. I'm here with my dog. See, can you see him? That's Shubi. So he's not a fan of the loud music. So we'll do our best to make everyone happy. So I'm gonna walk through the piazza and hopefully get a view of some of the music that we have at the Jazz Festival. So one moment, and we'll see what we can hear. I have to look at the program. I'm not sure which band this is. So here we go. Let's see if we can see them. Down to the main street. Thank you very much for sharing the video. So we're in one of the main streets just off the piazza. So when we get to a quieter place, I will start talking again. The Umbria Jazz Festival has been happening since 1973. So the Jazz Festival is quite popular, and people from all over the world, they come here to listen to jazz music. So, here we go. Okay, so it's a little quieter now. So one of the things before you move abroad to teach English, one of the questions that you should ask is the language school that you want to work at, are they licensed? Are they a legitimate school? And that's something that you can ask before you move, is if they're licensed. And you can do a little bit of research on your own before you go. The thing that is good, and I say this because for Ke Hioffer, we check the legitimacy, and we vet every school that's in our system. So if you are looking to get a job online or in person, Ke Hioffer checks the validity of every school and checks for license, how long that they've been in business, to make sure that everything is valid and vetted and ready to go. So that is one of the main things that you should look before you move abroad and work for a language school. And I have a question. Can you teach in China without a degree but with a TEFL or TESOL? Well, that depends. I'm going to say that depends on the language school. Most language schools will require at least a bachelor's degree because of several reasons. The visa programs that are in place now in China require a university degree. So having that in place is something that you have to get a particular visa before you go. So a bachelor's degree is quite important, and it's actually a basic requirement to move to China to teach. So and it's a good thing to have anyway, right? So it's the base minimum, and most schools will require you to have it. So thank you for your question. So now we're walking back into the chaos. I apologize. The sun is quite intensive right now, isn't it? So, oh, that's a cool effect. So along with checking your school, the validity of your school, you should be checking what your working hours will be. And this sounds quite obvious, but think about it for a second. Before you move overseas, you want to know what your teaching hours, when your teaching hours will be. You want to know what about the prep time, the prep for each of your lessons. So working hours, prep time hours, and office hours. So asking that before you go is another important question as well. And along with that, you can ask your school if you are able to work outside of your school. So some contracts will put in place like a phrase that will say, you can only work for me. In my school, you can't work elsewhere. So make sure that you understand that you either only work for one school or you can do outside employment. I have another question. Okay, I have another question. What are your tips to teachers when it's your first time to teach in China? Well, I'm going to say for tips for China and anywhere abroad, really, you're a teacher, you're leaving your home country, and you're moving to China to work. There are actually a lot of tips that you need to make certain of before you go. And one is to make certain that the school is licensed, but if you're already going through the Hioffer system, we already vet and make sure that the schools are licensed and legitimate anyway. So that is a number one thing if you're getting a job outside of Hioffer. But we always go through vet them personally, so that is something that you don't have to worry about. Another tip is to make sure you're checking your benefits. Are you going to be getting an apartment? And if they're going to be giving you an apartment, does it have kitchen equipment? When is there air conditioning? Is there heat? Is there furniture? These are some basic living requirements that you need to ask before you go. And it looks like I have another question. Okay. So those are a few of the tips and tricks. When is your hours going to be? Here we have some more jazz music. I'll stop talking for a second so you can listen to some of the music. Great place to be in the summer. This week, the Umbria Jazz Festival is happening, and this is a very popular event this week. So everywhere you look and everywhere you go, there's in the bars and in the pubs, you can hear a lot of different jazz musicians from all over the world, the United States, Serbia, Poland, the United Kingdom, Germany, and of course Italia. And there's a lot of street musicians as well. So what was I talking about? Tips and tricks for the teachers. So let me get out of the street before I get hit by a car. So let me see. I have a few questions here. Okay. I have a question here. What are the most common problems during these experiences? Okay, I'm not certain what experiences you're speaking about, but I assume that there are experiences with regards to getting a new job, with regards to going overseas. I think it's not just problems with China, it's with moving abroad in general, and that is not doing your research. I think it's very important for teachers to do their research about the school and about exactly what to expect. So if you are a new graduate and you have a new job and you're going overseas, it's really important to make sure you have some basic living things in place. And a lot of the schools that are in the Hioffer system, they will help you get adjusted. They will help you find an apartment in your new country, and they will help you with the visa process. So that's a really important thing to make certain you have that help. And when you go through Hioffer to get a job, these are one of the things that we can help with, or the schools that are already in our in our system will help you with. And if they don't assist you in that, they will tell you. But be certain to do your homework, and so you're not hanging around. And that is the most common problem, is not doing your homework with the schools. Okay, and we have another question. Do you think China is a good spot to start your career as an ESL teacher? Well, I'm going to say yes, because I am one of those people that has this need to travel. I think it is a great place to start and to learn about living in a different country. So China is a good place to start because there's so many available opportunities in China that you can't miss. You can't have a problem finding work. You won't have a problem having assistance. And there's a lot of other foreigners from many different countries living and working as English teachers already in China. So you have the support system. You have foreigners already in China working. And it's a great place to start because of that. And it's one of those things that once you move abroad, once you go abroad to become a teacher, you start this adventurous spirit. And it's difficult to shake after you go to an important place like China to teach English. It is it's something that you will never forget. So I'm going to give you some more tips and tricks on what to do before you move abroad to your new job. So I said a few things, and one thing that is not so prevalent is income tax. And maybe one thing that you should ask is income tax handled by your school? Sometimes they will help you with income tax things, sometimes they won't. So it's one of those things that you don't always remember to do, but it's an important question to ask, just like, is the apartment covered and your hours? And the other thing to ask your school is, what other things will you be doing? And this is what I mean. Will you be doing some promotional activities? Will you be doing some marketing? And so you should be asking these questions before you move abroad and start your work, because maybe there's some opportunities to help them do some things other than teaching that might be of interest to you. So that's an important tip to ask as well. Now, I'd like to know if you're on the fence and you're not certain if you want to make the jump abroad. I'd like to ask you, what is holding you back? Why are you a little you question yourself, and you can't quite make the move? What do you need to ask yourself to make certain that moving abroad to teach English is a good thing for you? What do you need to know? And so it is really an important thing to do to make certain that you understand and you do your research for yourself, so you are not afraid. You're not worried. And if a problem arises, whether you're teaching English in China or Vietnam or Thailand, or you're going to a place like Italy to teach English, that you're prepared. And so if you research and you understand as much as you can before you go, it'll be less scary. And of course, having the support system available to you, especially through Ke Hioffer and the schools that we have in our system, they will definitely help you. They will definitely help you before you go abroad. So what are some other tips and tricks that I can give you that are worthwhile to research and to ask before you go? So, a very important thing is, how many days off will you have per week? So, and I ask this because you want to understand how many days off you have per week, because you want to travel, right? You want to see things, and you want to be certain that you're not working 7 days a week. So it's important to understand when you will have a day off per week, and vacation time. If your contract is going to be a year, it's important to know when your holidays will be as well. So asking these questions will help you make the best and informed decision before you move abroad to teach English for a different country. So when you are in the process of going abroad, you have your school, you know when your hours are, you know if you're having bonuses, you know when your days off are. You have all of these in place. You get to your new country and you hate it. You feel lonely even though there's millions of people around you, and it's really difficult to communicate. What do you do? Now, on our blog, hioffer.blog, we were talking about culture shock. And there is a culture shock article on our blog that says culture shock doesn't exist. Now, Professor Fury is one of our British teachers that are, he's located in China. So he's been teaching in China for, I think, 7 years, 10 years, for a long time. So he thinks culture shock doesn't exist. I'm not so sure, but he has a point. If you read the article, he says that if you don't do your homework on the country that you're going to have a really bad culture shock. And that's true, yes and no. Because I know I've felt living in Italy and being in Italy and being in Europe for the last 5 years, it's not so much culture shock as in you just have times of feeling lonely. So it's kind of a catch-22. You have a circle. So yes, I think that you should be doing your homework and understanding the culture you're going to. And this is where the research and understanding the tips and tricks before you move to a different country is important. But there are some things you can't prepare yourself for. And so if you have in place, hold on, I'm going to cross the street. Okay. So if you have yourself in your new country, and it's really difficult, and you do your research, then you can go to the other expats. You can try to get yourself outside and doing things, and sometimes just getting involved in the expat community really, really helps you. So I would have to, having lived in a different country for a while, it's really important that sometimes you don't find yourself lonely in a rut, just holed up into your apartment for days and days, working online and not going outside. That has happened to me a few times, living in various countries, a lot different than my own. But all in all, it's kind of an ebb and flow and up and down sort of situation. So culture shock does and doesn't exist. I think it really depends on the person and how you process these differences. I honestly don't miss living in the United States. I really, really enjoy traveling around and seeing different countries and different cultures because it's such a pleasure for me, and I've been doing it for so long. It's actually more in line with what I'm doing than of who I am than just staying in one place. So I'm a big advocate, if you're an online teacher, that you get yourself out there and you start traveling, because it's a pleasure to be able to go abroad and travel. So we're getting at the end of our 30 minutes, but I want to give you one more trick. And then I'm going to go inside this area here, and I'm going to get some dinner at the street food fair here, and hopefully listen to some more jazz music. So before I go, I have another tip for you, and I have a whole list here. Another thing you should ask, and it is important also, actually a lot of things that I've been saying are important, aren't they? So ask your school before you move if they provide health insurance or some sort of medical benefit. So asking these questions, and I'll put a list below in the comments probably tomorrow of some important questions that you should ask your school, or even do the research yourself before you move abroad, or even get a teaching job online. So there's some important things that you should ask yourself, do some research, and contact me at Ke Hioffer. You can contact us at info@kehioffer.com. I'll put all of this in the description below this video tomorrow for you to click and research. Do your research. You can find a lot of good information at kehioffer.blog. We teachers post their stories. I do interviews with teachers, and all of these people, our community that we have put together, are here to help you get your next job, to understand a new culture, and we're here to help you do that. So thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We'll be here next Thursday, and we'll be doing another Facebook Live. We'll talk a little bit more. I'll answer your questions. Who knows what city I'll be in next week. Well, have a really good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao. Arrivederci.